Okay, we are, excuse me, this is Miss Coro. We are going to be drawing this stool in this space right here. We're going to be making it a little bit bigger, and we're just going to be drawing the negative space, which is, again, the area that is around the object. So everything that you see dark or in black, this is the positive space. This is the actual object. We are going to be drawing the white space around it, okay? And as you know, what this is going to do, it's just going to give you more skill in recreating an image, and it's just going to strengthen those drawing muscles by getting us to continue to use the right side of our brain. But there are 4 things that you want to remember. So you want to write these down as you're watching this video, okay? The very first thing that you want to remember is to draw the white space only, okay? You want to draw the white space only. Very, very, very important, okay? A lot of students will start going, and then before long they're actually drawing the dark spaces, and that's not what you want to do in a negative space drawing. You want to draw the white spaces only. The second thing is try to remember to skip over the black space, okay? That's going to help you quite a bit. All right, you want to skip over it. So, for example, when I draw this shape right here, I'm going to skip over this black space, and then I'm going to continue drawing this white space here. Then I'm going to skip over this and draw all of this white space around it, okay? The next thing you want to remember to do is to shade in the, oops, erase that, sorry, I'm a little bit ahead of myself. Shade in the white spaces, or space only, okay? So basically you're going, once you get the white spaces drawn out, then you're going to shade them in. So you're not going to shade them in on here, you're going to draw them first and then shade them in over here on this side. Okay, and then lastly, you want to try to remember to line everything up, and you'll see what I mean here in just a second. Okay, you want to line everything up. Okay, so if you remember back to when we did the 4-quadrant drawing or the scaling up drawing, I told you that you could divide your image into different sections, right? So if you want to do that to help get you started, then you are welcome to do that. I like to do that sometimes just to make sure I get a good start. Once I get a few shapes down, then I don't necessarily need to continue to divide, okay? So the shape that I'm going to start with, and I'm just going to zoom in here just a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit closer. Okay. The shape that I'm actually going to start with is going to be this one right here, okay? And as you can see, I went ahead and put my guideline here, and then my halfway line is here. So my vertical guideline is here, my halfway is here. And I can see that this shape right here is going to occupy a space on either side of this line. But I also know that it's going to be above this line right here, okay? I also see the direction. Notice that it's sort of at an angle. If I were to take my pencil and put it in the same direction, I would see that it's not horizontal. It's actually at an angle. This would be horizontal, but it isn't. It's actually at an angle. So that's really important to remember as well. So because I've had some practice kind of comparing and using different things to tell me where things are located, I'm just going to dive right in and just get started with that. I'm going to start making this diagonal line, which is this one here. Okay, I notice that it's a little bit longer on this side than it is on this side. Okay, how far out it comes, I'm not sure yet. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I can always go back and make some corrections. I notice that this line is also at a bit of an angle going down. And it stops. It stops way before, okay, way before this middle line. So I'm going to stop it right about there. And then I'm going to continue parallel, okay? I'm going to make it's parallel to here. And then I'm going to connect it like that. Okay, so now that I have this shape, now I can go and maybe use this as a relationship to the rest of my shapes. The next shape that I'm going to work on is this one here. Okay, I notice there's quite a bit of space in between, so I want to make sure I do a nice jump over. Now, if you want to get it exact, you can go ahead and divide this quadrant again. It's up to you. You may not need to do that. Okay, but I see that if I did do that, okay, then I would want to start this shape pretty much right around here. Okay, notice how this line skips over this black line and then continues out that way. So I'm going to skip over and then just continue at the same height out like that a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to bring this down, or excuse me, up a little. I see that it's higher. Okay, it's higher than this right here. And then I'm going to, so how high up it is, ooh, I'm not really sure. If I want to divide this again, I can see that it's getting pretty close to this division. Okay, so it's right about here, and then it's at an angle. See that angle right there? Again, you can take your pencil and line it up with it, and you can see it is not horizontal, it is at an angle. Okay, so we're going to take that line at an angle this way, and notice how this line kind of comes out farther than here. You see that? It's a little bit off to the right more than this one. So I'm going to make sure that that happens, and it does. And then I'm just going to bring these two together like this. Okay, so now I've got this and I've got this. Okay, now I think I'm going to move over. I'm going to jump this black line. I'm going to start working on this, and again I have my guidelines marked here, so I can see that it's going to start right about here, but it's still in line, right? It's still in line. Okay, and it's going to go up a little bit like this, and this line here is going to continue. It's going to skip over this black part right here, and it's going to continue in the same direction, about the same angle. Okay, and I'm going to bring it up as far as I think it goes. I'm going to say right about here. Again, I could divide if I wanted to and just kind of, you know, be a little bit more sure. Yeah, okay, right about there. Good. Comes over just a tad, and then this comes straight up and connects with it right there. So now I've got these three white shapes done. Okay, I'm going to move over. I'm going to do this large one here now. Okay, again, I notice that these edges are continuations, so I'm just going to be skipping over this black part here and focusing just on this white square. I notice that the top edge and the bottom edge, they're parallel, but again, they are at an angle again. They are not straight across. So I'm going to skip, I think I'm going to start right about here, and I'm going to skip over to right about here, bring this up. This is all parallel to each other, okay? And bring it to about the same. Comes up just a little bit higher, just a little bit, and then it starts to go over at an angle. There's a lot more space on this right side of my guideline than there is on my left side. But notice that it's going to be very close in line with here, but it's still at a little bit of that angle, about right here. So I'm kind of bring that up to about right there, and then just kind of connect this down that way. Okay, great. So I've got these four spaces. I'm moving along. Now I'm going to work on these two. This one's going to be kind of similar in shape to this one, but it is a little bit longer, a little bit wider. Just going to skip over a little bit and go ahead and continue that out. And now I'm going to bring it all the way down to where it's even with this line. So if this line were to continue, okay, I'm going to bring this straight down. Goes past that line, probably right about there, a little bit over, and then back at an angle up in there. Okay, so I've got that one done. Now I'm going to do this little bitty triangle. See that cool little triangle right there? Okay, it doesn't come all the way over to this area. It stops, probably going to be right about in there. Okay, this is quite of a small little jump, so I want to be careful with that thickness. You definitely want to be careful with the thickness of these black sections, okay, because they can tease you and make you think that They can also try to fool you and get you to draw them instead, and you don't want that. Okay, so now I've got that done. So I've got all of my inside shapes done. Now I'm going to work at all of this space around, which in essence would be kind of drawing the edge of the stool. And that's fine because now that you focused on these, it really is a little bit about that. But I'm still going to focus on trying really hard to just focusing on the white parts, okay? This goes kind of down kind of far. There's a little bit of an angle this way, then it kind of comes this way. This is perspective, 1-point perspective, which I know we haven't talked about yet. Then it comes all the way up to even to about right here. And then it kind of comes back across, over. Be careful not to take it out too far, okay? It doesn't go out as far as the edge, okay? Maybe to about right here. Up. And then notice this angle over here. It's going back. Okay, don't get it too angly. You can always take your pencil and kind of drag it across and see if you get the right angle, which I think I kind of did. Notice where it starts to change. It's a little bit above. Okay, right there. And then it kind of curves. There's a nice curve. Remember, you guys were looking at those curves of the characters you were drawing last time. Okay, so you still want to continue looking at those curves and angles. Let me just erase that a little bit. Now, I think I could have made it a little bit wider, but let me see. I'm not quite sure how far over this needs to go. It probably needs to go over farther than I think. There's not a lot of space between here. So I'm just going to bring that down. I'm going to bring this down this way, and now I've got to work around this area here, okay? And this could have maybe been a little bit wider, but that's okay. I'm just going to come down a little bit here. And it looks like it's going to go down below this shape, and there's my guideline there to tell me. Small little angle shift there, little angle shift here. Notice that this edge is in parallel with this one, or in line I should say. Goes up above my guideline a little bit, and then kind of comes down. Get this parallel here, maybe a little bit over. Straight down. How far down it goes? Well, I can look at the distance and see. Bring this up a little, probably a bit too thick there. Probably to about right here, and then I'm going to bring this over to about right here and bring this up. Just kind of want to make sure where that's located. If I were to take this line all the way across, okay, so it's pretty close to the edge there. Yeah, okay. And then there, up here again, and then I can connect that. Okay, and it looks like that's got it about right. I want to come back over here and kind of correct this a little bit. There we go. Now I am told that I need to shade in the white spaces only. So now I get to come in here, and I'm just going to gently shade in. This is what it means to shade in, just to kind of darken in the white spaces like this, okay? Doesn't have to be solid, but enough. A little bit longer. Stool, and then when we turn it around, okay, we got our stool over here and our stool over here. And that's how you're going to do a negative space drawing.